Top 10 Mega Group Members. Welcome to my channel. I read old magazines. Go ahead and grab that like button by the bossy and give that subscribe button a whack. Be warned, stinky anti-Semites will be taken out behind the woodshed. Ain't nobody got time for that HAT speech, right? Now, we've all heard recently about the super-secret invitation-only billionaire clutch called Mega Group, and its ties to Jeff Epstein and his mentor, Les Wexner. But even though we've all heard about it, I'm going to give you the top 10 things no one in the media is going to tell you. Who are the members? But first, what is the Mega Group? Well, let's find out, you ignoramus! The whole story begins with the Myerlansky mob, Russian oligarchs and British intelligence in particular, but let's give you a soundbite explanation and just talk about the direct cause. In early 1997, the NSA was searching for a mole within the highest levels of the Clinton administration. The mole was never captured, but by 1998, the Mega Group was introduced to the American population through the Wall Street Journal. Mega was found to be a spy ring when in January 1997, the National Security Agency had intercepted a phone conversation between an Israeli official at the embassy in Washington and Danny Yatko, the head of Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence service. The official sought permission from the spy boss to go to Mega in order to obtain a copy of confidential letters sent from a U.S. official to Yasser Arafat. Yatko, the Mossad head, rejected the request, admonishing his agent, "This is not something we use Mega for." In March 1999, British author Gordon Thomas released a book, Gideon's Spies, which allegedly Israel had blackmailed the Clinton administration with a threat to release tapped telephone conversations between the president and Monica Lewinsky to force Washington to abandon the mole hunt probe into the Mega Group. So, Mega was a spy ring and a lobbying group, but for who in particular? Well, in September 1991, it was founded by the Brofmans, Wexner, Iverson, Max Fisher, Lauren Tisch, Michael Steinhardt, and others. This occurred, predicting the anti-expansionist outcome from the Madrid peace conferences of the same year, wherein a milquetoast radical right-wing Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir would say to the Arab leadership, "With an open heart, we call all the Arab leaders to take the courageous step and respond to our outstretched hand of peace." From there on, Mega began to drum up support for expansionism and consolidated Jewish and Israeli lobbies in the United States. They ran spy operations, they infiltrated the Iraq War think tank, the Washington Center for Near East Policy, they provided seed money for wartime democratization think tank Foundation for Defense of Democracies, which promoted regime change in Iraq, Syria, Iran, and Libya. And we see how that went very well. The group has also founded a handful of student organizations which are meant to recruit Sanoim, or Israel helpers. Yay! For providing workshops and trips to Israel. It got Netanyahu elected in 1996 and presumably helped the election of Donald J. Trump in 2016, namely through the assistance of friends like Michael Steinhardt, who organized casino and brothel magnate Sheldon Adelson to pay $20 million to the campaign in one sitting. Well, man, that's a mega disappointment. Unless if you're Baruch Goldstein or something. Here are the top 10 Mega Group members that you didn't know. Number 10, Lew Wasserman, estimated net worth at death, $500 million, is a former head of the Hollywood entertainment conglomerate Music Corporation of America, MCA, one of the Lansky National Crime Syndicate's first forays into mass entertainment business. Wasserman was closely linked to the Chicago-based crime syndicate lawyer kid Sidney Korshak, who was credited with consolidating the marriage between the mob and Hollywood. Under Wasserman, MCA branched out into representing actors and actresses in addition to musicians, in the process creating the star system which drove up prices for studios. Following the rising post-war popularity of television and the resulting near bankruptcy of many studios, Wasserman purchased Universal Studios and Decca Records in 1962 and merged them with MCA. In 1966, he single-handedly installed Jack Valenti as head of the Motion Picture Association of America. Together, they orchestrated and controlled much of Hollywood operated and was allowed to do business for the next several decades. Ronald Reagan was apparently converted from a World Federalist and liberal Hollywood Union juvenile to an anti-communist free trader crusader under Wasserman and the Warner Brothers' Jack Warner. According to a 2003 book, When Hollywood Had a King, The Reign of Lew Wasserman, who leveraged talent in power and influence. Wasserman was interested in acquiring the Walt Disney Company in 1984, and this deal came within inches of actually happening. In 1993, Wasserman created Universal City Walk and made numerous substantial changes to the Universal City area. Wasserman pocketed an estimated $350 million from the sale of MCA and remained as manager, but with vastly diminished power and influence until C. Graham bought controlling interest in 1995, which then resulted in his role becoming even more marginalized. Poor Wasserman. Salon magazine believes that the Wasserman Room in the DNC may be named after Lew, because they won't talk about where the name actually came from. Number 9. Gary Winnick, $1.44 billion. Gary Winnick is an American financier best known for founding and being chairman of the Global Crossing between 1997 and 2002, an Israeli telecom corporation specializing in undersea cables. He resigned from the company in 2002, just before the company filed for bankruptcy protection. According to a February 11, 2002 BBC Newswire on Winnick, Global Crossing's main congressional beneficiary was Senator John McCain from Arizona. He asked the Communications Commission to encourage the development of undersea cables. Undersea fiber optic cables was Global Crossing's main asset. Winnick hired DNC chairman Terry McAuliffe during Bill Clinton's first term as consultant. McAuliffe helped Winnick inflate the value of Global Crossing's operations, turning a mere $10,000 stake into a bloating $18 million. The overvalued stock would set the company up to fall. Meanwhile, Israeli spy Richard Pearl would convince the Defense Department to sell the company to the Chinese. Richard Pearl made $700,000 out of the scandal and was forced to resign from government positions. Before that, Winnick was a senior VP and partner at Drexel, Burnham, and Lambert, a company spun off of Rothschild institutions which caused the Michael Milken junk bond mania crash. He now serves as a chairman of Winnick & Co., which most recently acquired a majority stake in live streaming concert service Quello for an undisclosed amount. The company also invests in telecommunications, digital media, healthcare, and real estate.
Number 8. Max Fisher. In 1985, Max Fisher, a top advisor on Jewish affairs and Middle East policy to every Republican president since Eisenhower, founded what is now known as the Republican Jewish Coalition, of which Fisher remained an honorary chairman. A March 11, 1998 Jerusalem Post article reports that Fisher was looking for a replacement, and among those being considered were Les Wexner, Ronald S. Lauder, and Deputy Secretary of Defense Paul Wolfowitz. Fisher amassed his fortune as a bagman for the Purple Gang that smuggled Sam Brofman's booze from Canada into the speakeasies of the Midwest. Fisher made his legitimate fortune in the oil retail business through Keystone Oil, Aurora Oil, and Marathon Oil. Fisher later became chairman of United Brands, aka United Fruit Company, a firm accused of major narcotics smuggling from South America. Gerald Ford, the former president, accepted a position at Max Fisher's Charter Oil before his presidency. The United Fruit Company, under Fisher, was known to back many dictators and terrorists for intelligence operations. In 1954, it backed a fascist coup in Guatemala, then another coup in Nicaragua by dictator Anastasio Somoza, then the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. In 1979, Max Fisher's close ally and e-groom terrorist named Sam Flato Sharon, and owner of United Fruit Company counterpart, the Maritime Fruit Company, ran guns to the Sandinistas. It is believed that Max Fisher and his associates organized the 1967 riots in Detroit and helped harbor rioters through Benai-proof safe houses to stop George Romney's presidential campaign and to promote Alexander Haig. Fisher also pursued a third-party primary law to help control third-party contenders to Republican control of the Michigan GOP machine. In 1967, Max Fisher was linked to the car bomb assassination of Don Bowles, a Phoenix journalist. Bowles was investigating the money laundering and gambling operations of a Fisher-linked company called Emprise Sports Systems. Fisher was behind funding the cover-up of Bowles' assassination, keeping United Brand Sports Systems and Stanley Mills Company quiet. What a bad sport. In 1978, it was reported that the largest shipping line in the Middle East, the Zim Shipping Company, which was controlled by Fisher, was smuggling boatloads of hashish to Palestine. Through his oil interests, Fisher opened up some of the first exploratory oil projects in Libya. During the Reagan administration, in cohorts with Sir Henry Kissinger, Max Fisher led the Jewish Advisory Committee to the Republican Party. He led 33 other backers of Reagan to lobby for the administration to stop pushing for comprehensive peace plans in the Middle East. Fisher also led the Republican Zionists into a scheme to take over Lebanon and push Palestinians all the way into Syria. Number 7. Mark Rich. Mark Rich was worth $2.5 billion. He first started at an Oppenheimer company called Philbro LLC. It was Oppenheimer money that provided safe haven for Henry Kissinger to come to America. Rich was later assisted by Kissinger's business connections, and he went into fossil fuels investments. He was nicknamed the King of Oil by his business partners. He also counted Fidel Castro's Cuba, Marxist Angola, the Nicaraguan Sandinistas, Muammar Gaddafi's Libya, Nicolae Ceausescu's Romania, and Augusto Pinochet's Chile among the clients he serviced. He promoted the immigration of the Russian mafia to Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, after the Jackson-Vanik Act was passed in 1978. Trump Village is located at Brighton Beach community, and the community was one of the most pro-Trump voting districts in the city, earning 84% of the GMP vote. Later, following the overthrow of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, during the Iranian Revolution in 1979, Rich used his special relationship with Ayatollah Khomeini, the leader of the revolution, to buy oil from Iran despite the American embargo. Due to his good relationship with Iran and the Ayatollah, Rich helped give Mossad's agents contacts in Iran. Rich and Marvis Davis bought 20th Century Fox in 1981. Due to the indictment filed against Rich for violating U.S. trade sanctions against the deals with Iran while Rich was living in Switzerland, Rich had arranged for Davis to sell Rich's interest in 20th Century Fox to Rupert Murdoch for $250 million during March 1984. He was later indicted with a business partner for tax evasion by Rudy Giuliani. He later received a widely criticized presidential pardon from U.S. President Bill Clinton, January 20th, 2001, Clinton's last day in office, thanks to his friend Michael Steinhardt. And yeah, he died too. Number 6. Leonard Abramson. Abramson was the founder of the murderous health maintenance organization U.S. Healthcare. He sold it to Aetna Insurance for $990 million. Now, apart from a stake in Israeli's bank Hapolim, Abramson owns the main merchant bank in Portland, which is a $20 million non-deposit institution whose ostensible purpose is to make high-risk venture capital investments. In the late 1990s, Abramson sued Inside Edition for invading his privacy when the news showed covertly him and his family at their Jupiter, Florida home as part of an expose of the lifestyles of wealthy HMO executives. Like others on this list, and like Donald Trump, he's a close figure at the University of Pennsylvania. Abrahamson has previously served on the board of directors of the NASDAQ Stock Market Incorporated and the board of trustees of the Brookings Institution, and currently serves on the board of trustees Johns Hopkins University. Abrahamson founded the EMET, meaning Truth in Hebrew, which is a black propaganda outlet in conjunction with the Mossad. Number 5. Les Wexner. Net worth $4.4 billion. This co-founder of MEG is closely aligned with some of the top British American Commonwealth institutions. However, Wexner's main business is the Limited Incorporated, a holding company for such firms as Intimate Brands, Victoria's Secret, and Bath & Body Works, which he founded in 1963. He was also chairman and one of the few co-defendants listed alongside Lord Conrad Black during the shareholder litigation that brought down Hollinger International. The board also included Lady Margaret Thatcher, Henry Kissinger, William F. Buckley, and Richard Pearl. Hollinger owned the leading Israeli English-language daily, the Jerusalem Post, which had become a mouthpiece for Ariel Sharon and the radical right. Wexner was on the board of the Aspen Institute, an important Anglo-American World Federalist think tank. Wexner is believed to be the mentor of Jeffrey Epstein and an almost exclusive client of the convicted sex offenders wealth management fund, and transferred his New Albany townhouse to Epstein. The house in New Albany is where some of Epstein's assaults took place. In April 2003, a research report for the Wexner Foundation was leaked, which was entitled Wexner Analysis, Israeli Communication Priorities 2003. The document was prepared by the Luntz Research Companies and Israel Project. The document was a public relationship document which provided communication strategies for American supporters of Israel, especially those in the media, on how to sway U.S. public opinion in favor of Israel in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and how to link Israel's interest with those of the United States. It was considered controversial since it was seen as a covert communication campaign for swaying the American public, and it showed a little bit of a lack of good faith in resolving the conflict. The ghost of Arthur Shapiro, a prominent local attorney who was slain in 1985 in a mob-style murder, continues to haunt the city of Columbus, but he also haunts Wexner as well. The Shapiro murder file was leaked somehow by the police. In the Shapiro murder file, personally ordered destroyed by Columbus Chief of Police James Jackson, Wexner was listed as a probable organized crime associate linked to the murder of Arthur Shapiro. Famed private investigator Dan O. Hanks is selling a dossier on Wexner for the right price. Better get it fast before Roger Stone or Dick Morris grabs it up for a book barbecue. Number 4. Ronald Lauder. He is worth $4.3 billion. Heir to the S.D. Lauder companies, Lauder is a mega group member, former member of the Reagan administration, longtime donor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's Likud party, as well as a longtime friend of Donald Trump and Roy Cohn. At one time, he was United States Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for European and NATO affairs. Beyond being a major donor, Lauder had brought Arthur Finkelstein on to work for Netanyahu's 1996 campaign, whose strategies were credited for Netanyahu's surprise win. Netanyahu was close enough to Lauder that he personally enlisted Lauder and George Nader to serve as his peace envoys to Syria. Lauder's buddy Nader, who was connected to Trump's 2016 campaign and a friend of Eric Prince, was recently hit with federal child sex trafficking soon after Epstein had been arrested on similar charges. At that time, Nader was picked to work with Lauder on Netanyahu's behalf. He had already been caught possessing large amounts of child pornography on 2 separate occasions, first in 1984 and later in 1990. Better luck next, Shemita George. Lauder is the president of MEGA's World Jewish Congress, succeeding Edgar Bronfman. Lauder caught fire for displaying artwork looted by Nazis which actually belonged to a Vietnamese doctor named Rudolf Leopold and was not returned. Chances are the art was liquidated through Swiss banks. The World Jewish Congress is headed in Switzerland. In 1996, he opened a S.D. Lauder boutique in Russia. The grand opening party was hosted by MI6 and Soros associate, late Russian billionaire Boris Berezovsky. In January 2010, he was warmly welcomed. The announcement by Siemens CEO Peter Loscher that his company would not seek business in Iran due to Lauder's lobbying. In 2011, writing in a German newspaper Die Welt, Lauder called for Israel to be admitted into the Western Defense Alliance NATO. In 2018, Open Secrets reported that Lauder, with Trump financier Robert Mercer, had personally donated $1.1 million to Secure America Now, the organization committed to educating the American public on the dangers posed to America by the development of nuclear weapons by Iran and radical Islam. In September 2011, Israeli media published accounts that Lauder had put heavy pressure on the executives of Channel 10 to broadcast a personal apology to the businessman Sheldon Adelson with regards to a profile that the channel had broadcast in January 2011. Lauder forcing of the form of apology led to the resignation of the channel's news chief Rudor Bezman and its editor Ruti Yuval and its presenter Guy Zohar. A small window into the Lauder-Cohn-Trump relationship surfaced briefly in a 2016 article in Politico about a 1981 dinner party held at Cohn's weekend home in Connecticut. The party was attended by Ronald Lauder's parents, St. and Joe, as well as Trump and his then wife Ivana, who had a weekend home just 2 miles away. Lauder himself has been alleged to have ties to Mossad, as he is long-term funder of the IDC Herzliya, an Israeli university closely associated with Mossad and their recruiters, as well as Israeli military intelligence. Lauder even founded IDC, Herzliya's Lauder School of Government, Diplomacy, and Strategy. Furthermore, Lauder co-founded the Eastern European Broadcasting Network CETV with Mark Palmer, former U.S. diplomat, Sir Henry Kissinger aide, and Reagan speechwriter. Palmer is better known for co-founding the National Endowment for Democracy, NED, an organization often described as an accessory to U.S. intelligence. His nephew William Lauder is one of the Public-Private Partnership for New York City, with a Bush as a treasurer, among many other mega group associates and members. The partnership is the scion of Municipal Assistance Corporation, which made Trump's gentrification schemes possible, just like in the Donald Trump video game. Number 3. Michael Steinhardt, worth $1.1 billion. Steinhardt reportedly told Michael Massing that he wished the American Jewish Committee, the American Jewish Congress, and the Anti-Defamation League would just go away. This was a criticism not of these organizations' modus operandi, but rather the fact that the mega group wished to centralize power to control Jewish public opinion. Steinhardt made his fortune running a series of hedge funds. Steinhardt has been apparently dubbed the public relations man for MAGA. Steinhardt was the chairman for decades of the Democratic Leadership Council. He resigned from the organization in protest over Bill Clinton's appointment of Lanny Guinier to a top Justice Department post, and refused to support Clinton's re-election in 1996, even though Clinton had succeeded him as DLC chairman. The hedge fund Steinhardt Partners was formed by Michael Steinhardt in 1967. He boasts that $1 invested in his firm then would be worth $462 today. Like George Soros, Steinhardt's fund suddenly lost 29% of its value in 1996 during the onset of the global financial crisis. After recouping in part with a 20% return in 1997, he closed the firm, took the money, and ran. Steinhardt is another offspring of the Prohibition-era Jewish syndicate of national crime boss Meyer Lansky. His father's soul, Frank Red Steinhardt, was a big-time gambler and convicted jewel theft, working with Meyer Lansky. Red Steinhardt was sent to Sing Sing on 5 to 10 year sentence, a fact that Michael kept off his resume in order to get his start on the Wall Street firm Low Roads around the New York Council of Foreign Relations League. Like father, like son, Steinhardt Partners came under SEC and Justice Department scrutiny in the early 1990s, along with the Salomon brothers, for cornering the market in short-term U.S. Treasury bond sales. To avoid jail, Steinhardt settled the case with a $50 million fine. Steinhardt founded the pro-Trump New York Sun-Times with British intelligence asset Bilderberger, Lord Conrad Black. Black was recently pardoned by Trump for a massive scandal involving the takedown of the largest Anglo-Israel media empire and mega asset, Hollinger International. Steinhardt introduced Sheldon Adelson, Trump's largest single donor, to Trump, and in return, Trump gave Adelson's wife a big fat military medal, the American Medal of Freedom. God bless America. Steinhardt in 2019 is now facing accusations from 6 women for a pattern of sexual harassment. An honorable mention for director Steven Spielberg. Go watch Jamie Deluxe's work on Steven Spielberg and tell me what you think in the comments below. Steven Spielberg phone home, but just remember, Amdocs is listening in. Coming in for a tie on the 1 and 2 are the boozed up gangster billionaires from the land of maple leaves, coked up mayors, and 300% meat markups, Charles and Edgar Bronfman Sr. In 1978, the Bronfman family was worth $7 billion, now $30 billion in 2019. They were also the largest landowners in Canadian high society. They owned 33 blocks in Houston, Texas at one time. The Bronfman story contains enough juicy facts to serve up a multi-course conspiracy meal in its own series. They founded the famous Seagram's liquor brand, but they come from a dark and dastardly past and came to own large shares of stock in companies like DuPont, Bell Telephone, the American British Oil Company, MGM, and Paramount Pictures. They sat on the board of CNN and even ran Time Warner Studios and Time Warner Music. But their real past lies in their namesake, Bronfman, which means Whiskey Man, running dangerous unprocessed moonshine to Meyer Lansky's Purple Gang, and later running gangster operations with the likes of lawyer Major Louis Bloomfield, a British intelligence agent known for his possible involvement in the Kennedy assassination. Well, their name implies they only smuggled alcohol. Their pharmaceutical wholesale company called Pure Drug Company helped funnel narcotics across the border. They also were involved in arms dealing and smuggling. The Bronfmans escaped all prosecutions due to Her Royal Majesty's Royal Canadian Government, that she totally has no power over, none whatsoever, no. Which also didn't run post-wartime operations against the American government through MI6 Sabotage Division of the Special Operations Executive, which was not run by Bronfman's deal-brokering lawyer, Major Louis Bloomfield. No, that's just a fairy tale. Recently, the Sarah and Claire Bronfman were caught as patrons to the ayahuasca cult known as NXIVM, which conducted blackmail operations that can be described as if the John of God cult and Jeff Epstein's Pedo Island had a baby. The sons of the Empire founder Sam Bronfman were the mega groupers Edgar and Charles Bronfman. Number 2, Edgar Bronfman, estimated to be worth $2.5 billion. In 2001, Mega was known to have held meetings at Edgar's mansion. Bronfman was president of the World Jewish Congress since 1981, now succeeded by Ronald Lauder, and has been a director of the Anti-Defamation League. Under the successor co-chairmanship of Charles and Edgar Bronfman, Seagrams took a 24% controlling interest in DuPont. But soon after Edgar's son, Edgar Bronfman Jr., became CEO of Seagrams, he sold off the holding, purchasing Universal Pictures and the world's largest record distributor, Polygram Records. On June 19, 2001, the Bronfmans sold Seagrams to former Lazard Ferris partner, Jean-Marie Mézières, owner of media and communications conglomerate Vivendi, for $34 billion. Through Seagrams and the World Jewish Congress, Edgar Bronfman was a top business collaborator of some of the most prominent figures in the former Soviet and East Germany. Edgar was a member of the pro-Soviet lobby known as the USSR Trade Council. Just months before the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of East Germany, Bronfman was given the highest civilian award by East German Communist Party for his efforts to salvage the communist state. Number 1. Chucky Charles Bronfman, supposedly worth $2 billion. Charles said about the mega group, From the beginning, we didn't want to be seen as the Sanhedrin. On February 19, 1999, Charles Bronfman was elected chairman of the United Jewish Communities. The $4 billion cash cow subsumes 189 Jewish Federation contributors and 400 Jewish communities in North America. At a November 9th to the 13th UJC General Assembly in Washington, Bronfman will pass the chairmanship to James A. Tisch, son of Mega Group member Lawrence Tisch. Charles Bronfman had been co-chairman of Seagram's until its merger with Vivendi. He was chairman of Core Industries Limited, which is a high-tech holding company at the heart of the Israeli military-industrial complex. He is also chairman of Claridge Israel Inc., which took over Bank Hapoalim when the Israeli government privatized it. This deal was brokered by Ted Arison, an Israeli who in the United States built the Carnival Cruise Lines into a billion-dollar business. Arison got his financing to start the Carnival from Meshulam Riklis, one of the junk bond manipulators of Michael Milken's major clients and close ally of Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. Stephen Bronfman, Charles' son, was the chief campaign financier of Justin Trudeau and took fire in 2017 for tax evasion through a Bermuda-based offshore law firm called Appleby. Not that Appleby. The Mega Group went on to inspire a number of philanthropic initiatives such as the Partnership for Excellence in Jewish Education, Birthright Israel, and the upgrading of National Hillel. In 1981, Bronfman was made an officer of the Order of Canada. In 1992, he was admitted to the Queen's Privy Council for Canada. In 1992, he was also made a companion in the Order of Canada. In 2002, Bronfman, along with his wife Andrea, were awarded honorary citizenship in Jerusalem. Charles was also indicted into the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, an order once identified by the writers of Executive Intelligence Review as being a counterfeit order supporting the opium trade.